Hello and welcome. Scoop up some of that smoke. Pull it towards yourself, just like you're washing in a mountain stream. I'm blessing and cleansing and neutralizing my computer. I don't know if you know it, but we have a lot of negativity that comes through our TV and our computers and our phones. So you need to neutralize some of that stuff so you're not just getting negative energy. Grab your tea, your coffee, come on back and we'll talk a little more about it. All right, welcome back, you guys. Come on in. We're getting ready to, I'm going to touch on a lot of topics again in the podcast portion, the first part of this video. And then I will go ahead and do the second half of the video again with tarot. Most of you stick around for that tarot. Thank you for popping in. Right out of the chute, let me get you to hit that like button. Please subscribe and share these videos. All right. You saw me open the video with some smoke. That was from Palo Santo. I love the smell of it, a little more than sage. It is a little more cedary and not as pungent. And actually, I burn Palo Santo before I do readings in my home. Only because some of my elderly folks don't know the smell of sage, and they might think I'm smoking something else. So Palo Santo is, if you're trying to control the smoke smell, maybe you live in an apartment and you don't want the neighbors thinking you're, smoking a little doobie. Palo Santo. It is sweatshirt weather again here in northwestern Pennsylvania. I'm an autumn baby, born at the tail end of August. So I love this type of weather. Just a little bit cool, where you can wear a sweatshirt. All right, let's see what is I going to touch on. I already blessed and cleansed the light. Let's go ahead and get it adjusted and turn on. For most of you that follow me, if you're doing this, you could be welcoming in the wrong kind of energy. You have to open up with the prayer, asking for only the highest and best. You're welcoming your spirit guides, your guardian angels, and your ascended masters. Otherwise, you could draw in negative energy. The same way I mentioned that you can get negative energy through the screen. There is a priest who talks, he is actually an exorcist, and he said that they have confirmed cases of demonic attachments coming from a movie. Okay, confirmed. The Catholic Church does not send out exorcists unless they can confirm beforehand. They're not going to waste their time sending out a priest to clear energy if they can't confirm it. Okay, so that it's documented and confirmed. Hello, Spirit on the Light. Do I have you adjusted correctly today? Thank you. You can, whenever it fluctuates like that, it's literally talking to me. All right. Thank you. You're welcome, Spirit. All right. That smoke thing that I was, passing out smoke for everybody to scoop up. I want you to know that Native Americans, we use sage, cedar, sweetgrass, and tobacco. Now, for those of you that are cigarette smokers, when you're outside having that cigarette, the very first thing you should do, I have never smoked a cigarette in my life. I was going to be a singer, didn't want to ruin my voice. The very first thing you should do when you light that cigarette and get it started is scoop that smoke back onto you, because we use, thank you, Spirit, for confirming that, we use tobacco as a blessing. It's only Big Pharma that made it into something dangerous. Tobacco in its natural state is actually very beneficial. All right, we're not going to go deep into that rabbit hole today. What we will talk about a little bit too is electrolytes. A lot of you begin to follow me on my nutrition. Some of the things that we talk about, a lot to do with vitamins, supplements. When you're taking any kind of vitamin or a supplement, now they don't tell you this. This is something that I intuitively picked up. And when I explain it, you'll understand it. When you're taking any kind of vitamins or supplements, you need to take a break. It's called a holiday, where you take a little break away from that vitamin, even though it's something you need, maybe even prescribed. Some of you get prescribed vitamin D3. You should be taking it already, right? I take it daily. I'll go into the routine here a little bit. But a lot of those things you absolutely need to take a break from, because let's go way back before we evolved into intelligent humans, humanoids, or whatever we are. And we were eating in the wild, hunting meat, scavenging for vegetation sometimes. We wouldn't get the same diet every day. Maybe one day we might be able to catch a rabbit and eat that. Maybe another day we're eating wild vegetables. Back then there were very few that the cavemen even ate. It was most predominantly meat. That's why our body needs that protein. We haven't evolved away from that yet. We have not. But since we wouldn't be getting the same diet every day, we don't need those vitamins every day. Thank you, Spirit, on the light for confirming that. You can take a 2 or 3 day break. Sometimes I take a full week break off of a vitamin before I go back on it. And then again, you'll feel the benefits of that just by taking that break. And once you start back on it, you'll get all that nutrition. So make sure you're taking a break from that. Now, if you're taking something, sea salt, to get those minerals and those electrolytes in, you can continue that every day. Minerals are beneficial, and we need them. We would have been getting minerals every day in the wild back in caveman time, because we would have been drinking out of a mountain stream or a mud puddle. The same as our dogs and our cats. In the wild, that's where they would get their drinking water, full of minerals. Okay, so we need those electrolytes. You can take those every day if you want to. We're going to do that intermittent holiday thing every once in a while with your vitamins. Now, I take a break on mine, maybe every 4 to 6 weeks. Sometimes even earlier. If I don't think if I'm out in the sun for 4 or 5 hours, I'm not taking my vitamin D3, okay? They're the same. The sun and the D3. That's why thank you, Spirit, you know where I'm going with this? That's why they're spraying that stuff up there. They do not want us to get the sun to strengthen us. Bingo. All right. One of the questions you guys have is always asking me, Tina, how do I find out who my spirit guides are? How do I know that? How do I find out who they are? And we're going to go into some of those questions, and I am going to use the dowsing rods today. You can call them dowsing rods, divining rods. They are used for divination, and anything used for divination is contacting the other side. And you need to bless, cleanse any of your tools that you may be using. And you definitely have to start with a clean, clear heart. If you're frustrated, if something's going on, your body will affect your electronic device. That's why we need all those electrolytes, okay? Your body will respond if you're upset. So we are going to ask some questions today about spirit guides, and we're going to try and confirm that with the wands. Let me go ahead and I'm going to grab my cup of tea real quick. We'll take a break here. You guys won't notice me being gone. But I wanted to talk to you briefly about the healthy alternatives for tea and coffee. Most importantly, the paper. We use paper filters for our coffee pots. Don't do that. Switch it up. I want you to get stainless. Hang on. Yeah, I would really like for you to use stainless. The paper filters we use for coffee are loaded with chemicals. The unbleached ones that I even started using at one point a few years back, thinking that just because they're not bleached and they're not clear, bright white, the brown ones, that they were better. And no, they're not. They're still tainted with a lot of chemicals. Your tea bags are probably one of the most toxic things that you have in your house. Thank you, Spirit, for confirming that. Those tea bags, and even if you're buying a good organic brand, how do you know for sure if the bag is safe? Those tea bags are coated, and most of them are made from a plastic. They feel like cloth because the tea's, brews, it gets a little strong and seeps out of the tea bag. So we think it's paper, but that is a big source of nanoplastics. Plastic. We're dunking it in boiling hot water. Okay? I want you to go out, if you are a coffee drinker, I want you to go out and get one of these. It is a pour over. I can make a single cup of coffee with this in my house or at camp, out by the tent. It is stainless steel. It is perforated, very tiny holes in that allow the water to seep down through, drips right down into the cup, and you get a good tasting cup of drip coffee. Bam! And if you're a tea drinker, now I have all kind. Is there a couple? Yes, there is a couple. Here's an antique tea infuser right back here. You remember these? We dunked them down in the cup, just like a tea bag. Well, you know what? That's a pain in the ass, dunking and dunking. I found these. This is a tea infuser. This one has a nice little lid on it. I've already got tea in it, ready to go. It sets right down in the cup. I don't have to dunk and dunk. It's a lot easier with that little lid. While it's brewing, I can put the lid on there and keep it warmer. I am going to go ahead and put the link to these down in the description box today for you guys, so that if you're interested in cleaning up your lifestyle a little more, and this one again is also stainless, that you guys can switch out what you're using for something better. Now, when I buy organic tea and it comes in a tea bag, I simply cut the bag open and dump it in here. So there's a lot of ways that, what's the old expression, more than one way to skin a cat. All right, I got my tea and I am ready to go. By the way, I am using maple syrup as my sweetener. Real maple syrup, not are you even allowed to say Aunt Jemima or log cabin? None of that. That is high fructose corn syrup. It is dangerous. However, I'm using good grade A maple syrup, actually made locally. I used to use honey in my tea, but I like my tea very, very hot. And when I found out that by putting that honey into hot boiling water, you kill the antimicrobial benefits of it. So all you're left with is the sugar value, which gives you a glycemic reaction. And in other words, all you're left with is the sugar value of the honey. So maple syrup actually has a lower glycemic index, so it does not trigger anybody's insulin production, blood sugar, the whole 9 yards. All right, we're going to talk about spirit guides, and I am going to use the dowsing rods. So let's go ahead and start the session. Anytime you're using your dowsing rods or your divining rods, always calibrate them when you first start. You want to tuck your elbows right up, tight up against you. Look at that. They are already, of course, I wasn't holding still, but they're already searching around. They will look around on their own, almost like they're looking. Thank you, Spirit, on the light. Wow, thank you for validating that. All right. To calibrate them, simply ask, Spirit, can you show me which way you will respond to a yes? All right. Yep, it will come in. I feel like that this one over here is kind of, it's looking at something. If you were sitting in front of me, they will return to your position and look at you in between questions. All right. Spirit, can you tell me which way you will respond for a no? And yes, that's it. Absolutely. Wide open. Open for no. Okay. All right. Just trying to help you remember. Spirit, can you tell me, do we get a spirit guide assigned to us at birth? Yes, absolutely. We get a spirit guide assigned at birth. Spirit, can you tell me, do we get more than one spirit guide? Yes, again. Those other guides, we get we get that top guide at birth, the number one spirit guide. He comes at birth, stays with us our entire life. The wands are actually staying in the yes position. We get other spirit guides that come in when the need comes up. Oh, Spirit, you're telling me no? Are those other spirit guides assigned to us at birth also? So our soul knows that those other spirit guides come in at birth. Maybe they don't get assigned right directly to us. Okay, yes. They are really bobbing around, but it's almost like they're sensing an energy moving around, which could highly be in my house. Energy is always moving. Spirit, can you tell me if those other spirit guides come in troubled times? Yes. You know, when you get an army, when somebody says, you and what army? You have an army of spirit guides, guardian angels, and ascended masters. All you got to do is call them in, welcome them in. So, Spirit, good one question a lot of you ask. My grandmother is my spirit guide. No, she is not. Your loved ones that you knew in this lifetime never become spirit guides. They can become more like guardian angels. There we go, coming in. Yes, Grandma will pop back in a protective measure. They stop in because they like the smell of the cookies that she used to bake. Grandpa will pop in if you open a can of, maybe he was always worked in his workbench painting birdhouses. And if you open a can of paint up and it smells like Grandpa, he will pop in. So grandparents are not actually spirit guides. They are still around us. They come in, they're guardians. Let's see. Spirit, do we ever change spirit guides? Telling me a big no there. So we know those spirit guides that are assigned to us from the very beginning. However, they come in at different times. Is that what I'm getting, Spirit? Staying in the yes. Oh, thank you on the light, Spirit. Just for shits and giggles, can you guys hear that cat in the background? That's my cat. The wands are pointing right over to the cat. The wands are pointing right over to the cat. Cats have a very strong intuitive energy. They can see and hear things most people don't. And they are just a wonderful creature. All right. We are going to go ahead and... That's funny, the card that fell out. The Ace of Swords, if it falls out when you're playing with your cards, that is telling you, just like that first card just fell out, it is telling you that what you just got done discussing was truth. So Spirit is still confirming the fact that it had the flashlight even come on while I was using those rods. I've never had that happen. Usually Spirit will be in one spot or the other for me. Another thing that you guys are mentioning is you're not seeing orbs in my kitchen as many as we saw back in my little office. That office has been permeated for 7 years with the greatest energy. You can't make a good energy overnight. If you've got something going on negative in your house or have had something negative, it takes a while. All right. We are going to take a look at what the cards have to say for the remainder of the week. Today is Wednesday. Thank you, Spirit, back there on the light. I don't know what that was acknowledging. I wasn't paying attention. Let me know in the comments. Do you guys watch the light? Why are a lot of you only come for the light? How crazy is that? Come for the light. It is, what is the date today? July the 22nd. All right, a couple more jumpers, please, Spirit. Oop, that one flipped over. And I knew it wanted out. Oh. Now this is for you two wanted out also. All right, we'll do that. All right, this is for the collective. I get the feeling that some of this is actually for the global outlook as well as our neighborhoods. Yeah, and I got to tell you, this looks pretty cucky. Yeah. Oh, ouch. Wowie, wow. Okay. We have the 9 and the 10 of swords that came up. These are not even happy looking cards to begin with. Now the 9 and 10 means, and they fell right beside each other, that something is going in progression, that we're working our way through something. That 9 is, for many of you, you're worried. Okay, this is reflecting on the reading I did yesterday, actually. Some of you are worried about somebody else. The reading I did yesterday is in regards to somebody that was abducted. And I get the feeling that this may be for that family also. You guys, it doesn't have to mean an abduction, but it's something that you were worried about or someone you were worried about. Sleepless nights, a little bit of panic and anxiety going on with that. But the 9 is saying, look, we're almost there. Not quite a 10. And here we go, the 10. For most of you, this 10 is, yeah, somebody, kind of a betrayal. Somebody backstabbed you, literally. Cards are pretty simple to read. Look at it. For the client yesterday, in the abduction case, it was somebody in the family. It almost parallels the Nancy Guthrie case a little bit, because it's all about the money. Now, in your own personal life, this does mean the 10 is the completion. You're putting this behind you. Somebody did betray you. Somebody did hurt you. They made you worry. That kept you up at night. We also have the Seven of Swords. Swords are an air sign. And usually when air signs continue to come up that way, like these, like all of these swords already, it is to say that you're overthinking it, up in your head a little bit too much. Try not to get lost in what could be. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Don't fret about things that aren't necessarily that you need to fret about. But this seven also speaks high about your spiritual development. Now, some of you are following me, and every one of you are intuitive. We're born, all of us are born that way. Not everybody has a gift that kind of comes out, is like mine does. But you're still intuitive. You can train that. Just like if you were a musician, a singer. You could be a really good singer. Pavarotti, Mario Lanza, some of those old opera singers, very gifted. I can sing too, but I'm not that good. So you have to develop it. You have to work on it. Your spirituality is coming, bringing you around to becoming more intuitive. Thank you, Spirit, on the light. Bam. Many of you, and this is a good time frame right now because Mercury has not moved direct yet. It is still kind of stationed in the retrograde status. We've got Uranus actually is getting ready to make a move, and Saturn, and these things all ignite our intuition and they bring it to the forefront a little bit. They allow it to open up. Another sword. Here we are with the Page of Swords. And he's only coming in to say, look, that's the last of that energy. We're going to switch things up. We're going to try something a little bit different here. Well, by geez and by golly here, let me see where I want to go with this. Yeah, now here's where I'm at. 2 5s. Again, that 9 and 10 of Swords I pointed out were not happy looking. These are not happy looking either. Some of you may have dealt with a great financial loss. Maybe you were partnered with somebody. Thank you, Spirit. Right on cue. Wow. You may have been partnered with somebody in business. Perhaps it was a relationship. You may have been married, had spousal finances together, joint finances. And some of you lost a lot that way. In that abduction case that I was working yesterday, it was all about the money. The person that was abducted had a lot of assets. But in your own personal life, this happens to be you kind of moving away from it now. It came up in reverse. We're at the tail, you as a collective are at the tail end of this financial loss. That other 5, the 5 of Cups, is about just a little better than that. The 5 of Pentacles is about saying, look, you may have to leave something behind. Those 3 cups that are in the ground there or in front of him are what he's sad about. He's going to have to leave something behind, but he's got 2 full cups behind him. So that tells me that there's opportunity coming for you. Now, for many of you, this is some kind of an opportunity for more work, better work, to help with this financial loss. You're going to be doing okie dokie. Might not feel that way for a while. As we progress to the tail end of July, a lot of you are going to be coming into better finances. All right. We have the Judgment card. That is Gabriel and his trumpet. Isn't it funny how tarot cards all illustrate things of the Bible? Yeah, you didn't know that, did you? Well, that is Gabriel and the trumpet, and he's sounding his trumpet, giving somebody a second chance. I don't think it's a bad thing. But how many second chances do you have to get somebody before you realize that that's all they've been doing? Stabbing you in the back. So, while you're giving somebody a second chance, put some guidelines and stipulations on it for yourself. You can't put guidelines and stipulations on somebody else. You needed to put them on yourself. You have to say, look, I'm not going to fall for that again. Been down this road before, learned my lesson. We also have the Six of Cups that comes up. Now, here things are starting to pick up a little bit. Look a little bit more positive. Six of Cups is about somebody reaching out and helping somebody else. Here, let me give you a hand up. Could be a parent and a child, could be an uncle and a niece, could be any combination, but there's an age difference or a generation difference in it. All right, I'm going to grab another deck here. See if we can get any. Oh, here, I like these right here. See if we can get any validating cards for what we just had. Let me know down in the comments below what topics you would like to hear me speak on. Yeah, first card out of this chute was the shit is about to hit the fan. Have you guys heard that? You know that old expression. All right. Can I get one more of those, Spirit? Please, I just want to. All right. That first card that caught my eye that you guys saw, when I flinch, you know what's coming. The Tower card. We are going through this in our country right now. Everybody wanting to change us. Riots. Burning our flag. Look at it. Tearing down monuments and that Tower card is about just how ugly things are going to get. I don't want you guys to get fearful by any means. That's crazy. I pulled 5 cards and 4 of them are Major Arcana. Major Arcana is that suit where there's no count. 10 of Swords, 9 of Swords, that kind of thing. No count. Those are Minor Arcana. Major Arcana, that Tower card, bam! That is one of the loudest cards in the tarot deck. Not one of the happiest ones either. Then we get Ace of Wands. We've got to put some work into this. It's just not going to happen overnight. And wands are always about work, at least for me. It's also about inspiration. Inspiration and is the same as catching something on fire. What lights a fire in you? With a little bit of work, we can ignore and avoid all that negativity out there. It takes work to ignore it. Turn your TV off. If you're listening to mainstream media, I'm sorry. You're so poorly and misinformed, it isn't funny. The other evening, when the president, that orange guy, I don't care for him personally. I don't care for him personally. But as a president, every president, let me put it this way before anybody starts messaging me about President Trump. Every president that has ever been elected in this country has been ordained by God. Every one of them. So has President Trump. Brought to us and put in front of us for a reason at this time. Good, bad, or indifferent. He's going to show us what is dangerous and toxic. I have to stop and catch myself. We have the world card, which is telling me, yep, it's getting crazy in the world. We are seeing violence, protesting, going on in the UK, England, Ireland. They're fed up with people from other countries coming in and demanding. We demand our flag. We demand you dress our way. Put that hijab on. We demand. They are taking their country back. And it's not like the English to do that. They kind of roll over a lot. That's how we got our country started. You know, it didn't take much to push the British back across the pond over there. But on a world level, we are going to see people rising up, not putting up with that. If you want to come to my country and be American, fit in. My grandma, thank you. I knew it was coming. My grandfather came here. One of my grandfathers came here from Italy. Before he could come into this country, he had to have a sponsor. Yep, somebody over here that would, speak up for him. Yep, well, we're taking him in. He had a skilled trade. He was a blacksmith back in those days. It was the late 1800s, early 1900s. And he was able to come to work in this country right away as a blacksmith working for a railroad, the old Bessemer. Some of you know that name, Bessemer Railroad. He was a blacksmith working for Bessemer. He had to learn, in order to become an American in those days, you had to learn what branches of government. I don't even think I can say them. We have the legislative, the judicial, okay, bad American, do you know him? He had to learn the Pledge of Allegiance. My grandfather said the Pledge of Allegiance every day in his own house. He loved this country. He came here and he learned how to speak English. Mind you, it was broken English. He had to go for his driving test. For the early years, you didn't even need a driver's license, but he had to go get a driver's license. Now, this is the early 1900s. So imagine 1920s, maybe, I don't know. He had to go get a driver's license. And just not back then, they just asked questions. Do you know what that big red sign is? And he said, yeah, that means that you stop. They asked him a couple other things. Do you know what that red means on the stoplight, the traffic light? Yes, red means that you stop. I asked my grandfather, well, what's the green mean? He said, that means that you go. Green means go. So finally they asked him, what does the yellow light mean? He said, that means that you go faster. All right, you know how it is when you get a yellow light. Get under there. Many of you, we have the Empress card. Many of you are taking your power back. Thank you, Spirit. You're not allowing yourselves to become scared. Because this too shall pass. You're taking back your power. Not going to let this bother you. Not going to let this take you down. It all starts with a positive mindset. I've got this. Wake up today and say, you know what, I got this. You know what, I'm stronger today than I was yesterday. I'll be stronger yet tomorrow. It is a mindset. Taking your power back is all about you changing those old thoughts. Those thought patterns kind of get us in trouble. Last but not least, we have the Wheel of Fortune. It's going to work out. Once that Cheeto guy gets the swamp pointed out, he's pointing out all of this corruption. We are going to find out that he actually isn't in charge of a lot of stuff like he thinks he is. There is a shadow government that's real. And those are owned by the wealthy people. He's wealthy, but he's not in their league. The Wheel of Fortune is about giving something a try. You can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. Give it a try. Now, don't spend any more of what you can afford. You can't land the trophy fish if you don't put a line in the water. You've got to try. The Wheel of Fortune is saying, baby, let it roll. Roll the dice. Give it a shot. All right, I drug that out long enough. I hope you guys find that interesting. I hope you find it informative. Get with me in comments. Let me know what you want to hear about. And you know I never leave you, that I don't bless you with love and light. Sincerely.